Hello, and thank you for joining us for another Mahlkönig video. Now, one of the questions we are always asked here at Mahlkönig is which grinder should I buy for my coffee shop? These two here are our most popular espresso grinders for commercial and cafe use, the E65 and the E80. So today we're going to take a look at the similarities as well as the differences between these two incredible grinders. So let's start with the names. E65W GbS, E80W GbS. E stands for espresso, 65, 65mm burr, 80, 80mm burr, W, because these are both the well-loved grind by weight technology, which is proven industry standard grind by weight, which you'll see these in so many coffee shops now. And I think everybody's familiar with this interface here on the screen, which again is exactly the same on both of these grinders. Big, bright, intuitive display. We're always bringing new software updates for these, which make these better and better, more user-friendly. And then GBS, grind by sync, because these are the new models with the electronic grind size adjustment. You can adjust the grind electronically by the micron straight from the screen here, instead of the old manual method, which was really not ideal for small grind size adjustments because it just wasn't that accurate. This brings other benefits, things like electronic grinding burr calibration, which means with the old model you used to use tools to open the lid and get those zeroed off. Now you can do that electronically through the menu, which is very, very useful. Both of those grinders have that as well. But also with the grind by sync technology, you can connect these to the ever-growing list of compatible espresso machines, whether that be via a wireless connection or on the back here there is a USB for a wired connection. Both have the handy little clip here, so on top of the hopper you can actually display on a card which coffee is available, or some baristas actually bring it round the other side, so you can either display it to the barista side or to the customer side. So you'd either display the coffee information or you can show the barista what coffee it is and dial in information if you like to, rather than writing on the hopper, which I don't love. So that is the E80 and the E65W GbS. So with all the similarities out of the way, what are the big differences between the E65 and the E80? And that all comes down to volume. How busy is your coffee shop will decide which grinder you should pick up for your coffee shop. So the E65 has a 65mm set of burrs, where the E80 has an 80mm set of burrs. Now that burr size can have a lot of different knock-on effects for different aspects of the grinder, from how many grinds per second, what is the daily output of the grinder, and burr life. So all of these things you need to consider with these two grinders. So the E65 has a 4 to 6 grams per second versus 6 to 8 grams per second. So if you've got a queue out of the door on a regular basis, the E80, with its higher output of grinds, will get you through that queue quicker than the E65 will. And the next one to consider is the daily output in kilos that we recommend per day for each grinder. So with the E65, we generally recommend 4 to 5 kilos per day, approximately, of how much coffee you should serve with this grinder on its own. And the E80 is 6 to 8 kilos per day. Now, this will also come down to how dark your coffee is roasted and how fine you are grinding that grind. If you are grinding a finer grind, you're creating more load on the grinder, and also the same as if you've got a very light roast coffee, that is also more intensive on your coffee grinder than if you've got a dark roast coffee, for example. Luckily, most espresso coffees are like a medium to dark roast, so those are just things to consider when choosing these grinders. And so the final thing with the burr size is actually the life expectancy of the burrs, of what we recommend that you change your burrs, just as a recommendation. So the E65 is 800 kilos until we recommend that you change those burrs, where the E80 is 1500 kilos. So if you are a really busy coffee shop doing a lot of output, you're going to be swapping your burrs a lot less often than you would with the E65. So another difference between these two grinders, in the box with the E65, you're going to get a 1.2 kilo or 1200 gram hopper inside the box. With the E80, you can see it's slightly larger, you get a 1.8 kilo or 1800 gram hopper. Again, if you're a really busy coffee shop, you'll be filling your hopper less often with this 1.8 kilo than you would with the E65 and its 1.2 kilo. So the final big difference between these two grinders is the motor. 440 watt, 600 watt. This obviously needs a larger motor to be driving that large set of 80mm burrs versus the 65. So that is the differences and similarities between the E65 and the E80W GbS grinders by Mahlkönig. I think we can see that for most people, the E65 is a great choice, a solid, dependable grinder. It's why it's definitely our best-selling grinder. And the E80, if you've got a particularly busy coffee shop and you need that extra workhorse reliability, queues out the door, longer burr life, faster grinding, larger hopper, and the E80 is maybe for you. The E65 is a little less expensive than the E80. The E65 is a little smaller than the E80. We have some customers that serve a lot of guest espresso coffee, so they'll have a few of the E65, which spreads the load of the grinding capacity across all of the grinders. Or maybe you have one E80 for your house espresso or your milk drinks, where you're grinding the most coffee, and then your guest espresso is on the E65. Also great as a decaf grinder. I probably wouldn't have an E80 as a decaf grinder unless you're serving a lot of decaf. So I hope that was useful, and I hope that those differences and similarities will help you out about choosing which grinder you might choose for your next cafe or next cafe project. The E65 and the E80W GbS. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and one of the team will get back to you. And as always, thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next video.